killing hundreds of people. ABC's Ian Pannell has the latest.
Yeah, hi guys. At least 800 people have been killed in this devastating earthquake, with more than 2,500 injured. That's according to the Taliban government in Afghanistan. Buildings reportedly shaking from the capital, Kabul, to the capital of Pakistan, Islamabad. The earthquake, measuring 6.0, was relatively shallow, striking in the middle of the night, all of which means that more people were injured because they were inside their homes. Rescue efforts are now underway, but this is an extremely poor, mountainous and rural area, and resources are really limited. The epicenter was in the east of Afghanistan, near the city of Jalalabad, also close to the border with Pakistan. One local official telling ABC News that there's massive destruction around the epicenter. People feared trapped under the rubble, with whole villages reportedly completely destroyed. Most of the houses in these rural areas are made of mud, and therefore it's difficult for them to withstand earthquakes. Since the US withdrawal from the country over 3 years ago, poverty rates have soared, with a lack of proper healthcare or infrastructure, all of which is making finding and rescuing people.
Shalom, shalom, Israel. I want to start by giving all glory and praises to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH, and the brother one for dance up in Florida from the Kim province of Babylon. Coming to the quick hit to the spirit power by YAHWASHI. The Lord wanted to edify and feed the sheep. Double honor to that was an apostle, great MILLSTONE, teach you well. Peace and blessings to the brothers who push this work and true sincerity to this God abroad. Now, I want to do a little lesson going into this recent post that I seen going into Afghanistan, having this major, earthquake, man. All right, this major earthquake that left, I believe, 800, dead, and 2,800, injured. All right, and we know this is all part of the signs of prophecies of things happening before it gets worse here, in America, man. Okay, you see earthquakes popping off in various different areas. We know that this is leaning to what the scripture says in 2nd Ezra chapter 9. Okay, when the Lord's getting ready to visit this place, man. All right, so we're in those times where we're going to see a lot more tragedies take place on this earth, man. Okay, and it's only going to get worse here in this place known as America. Okay, I'm gonna grab an article going into it real quick. Like I said, it's not gonna be too long, just straight to the point. All right, going into it, how in the article, it's a Returners article. It says Afghanistan earthquake kills 800, injures 2,800. Taliban asks world for help. All right, going into I ain't gonna read the whole thing. Okay, you can go in there and just type it up. Okay, earthquake, recently took place. All right, I believe it was a 6.0 earthquake that took place that really shook the whole Afghanistan area up over there, man. And like you see, it says 800 killed and 2,800, pretty much injured. All right, but you can go in there and you can, look this up. All right, but I'm gonna read a little bit of it. It says, one of Afghanistan's worst earthquakes killed more than 800 people and injured at least 2,800, authorities said on Monday. And this took place today, man. All right, we know that the scriptures go into how the Lord's judgment goes out every morning. So it's a blessing to be able to wake up and serve your power, man. YAHAWASHI, outside in truth and sincerity. Okay, and be able to not be in this kind of predicament, man. All right, which we know that things like this is bound to happen anywhere, but the fact that you are able to be in this truth, okay, and have YAHAWASHI, okay, and be protected from these things, all right, is the best place to be. You see, but reading a little bit more of this article, okay, it says, and then we're gonna grab some scriptures. All right, but it says, I'll read it from the top. It says, one of Afghanistan's worst earthquakes killed more than 800 people and injured at least 2,800, authorities said on Monday. as rescuers struggle to reach remote areas due to rough mountainous terrain and inclement weather. All right, and it says the disaster will further stretch the resources of the war-torn nations. It says Taliban administration already grappling with crisis ranging from a sharp drop in foreign aid and deportations of hundreds of thousands of Afghanistans by neighboring countries. All right, so showing you that they taking a hard hit. They have taken a hard hit, all right, from these earthquakes, but this has been, one of the greatest, all right, or one of the worst, I should say, earthquakes that has hit them, man. Okay, and once again, these are signs showing you that, all right, this place is through, all right, and it's coming to its end, all right. And the first scripture that came to mind was 2nd Ezra chapter 9. All right, I'll read it from the top. 2nd Ezra chapter 9, verse 1. It says, "He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself." And that's why it's important, as we watch, all right, we see what's taking place, all right, around, the world, man. Okay, what's going on throughout the four corners of the earth. And, we utilize these, platforms like, all right, these, news breaks in the app, okay, which gives you either local or even worldwide, all right, updates on what's taking place. You got the news, you even got certain other platforms, or social media platforms you use, and it gives you a frequent update. All right, but these things we utilize, okay, to measure the times diligently and tying it with the scriptures, man. All right, going back into this book, man. All right, and understanding, all right, these things are taking place, man, and it's all through the Spirit powered by YAHAWASHI. Okay, so reading that again, 2nd Ezra 9 and 1, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And that's how we measure the time diligently, okay, through the scriptures and watching it. When thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. And we've been seeing, a lot of earthquakes, throughout the years, okay, which, shows you that the Lord is visiting this place, man. Okay, and it's only going to get, made known more and more, all right, as these, things happen more frequently, man. Okay. Brothers gonna keep going, doing what they gotta do until all hell breaks loose. So this word and these things are gonna be made known throughout the earth, man. That the Lord's visiting this place, okay, through the Spirit powered by YAHAWASHI, through those men that He set up throughout the four corners of the earth. So it ain't gonna be trying to escape and run from the reality of what's taking place in that day, man. Okay. Ain't gonna be no running from it, man, because you was warned, you was told, you was given that message. It says verse 3. It said verse 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shall thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days where there, from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Okay, so the Lord already sanctioned these things since the beginning, man. All right, this is the Lord's movie, man, and as everything plays out, you got certain important parts of the movie that has to take place, throughout the movie, so that it can have that major climax of a great ending. Okay, because as the verse 5 says, for like as all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. And we are at the end, all right, of Esau's rule. Okay, we are at the end of this wicked kingdom ruling for however long it's been ruling, man, for quite some time. You see, and the end is manifest. This is a new beginning, okay, for us. All right, but the ending for these devils, man, and these other nations that have taken place. All right, and fed off of the things that these devils have done. You see, and we rejoice in these things. But continuing, all right, I want to grab this right here. It says, going into the book of Matthew, all right, chapter 24, verse 7. All right, matter of fact, I'll jump up. Verse 6, it says, Matthew chapter 24, verse 6. It says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. And right now we've been hearing nothing but wars and rumors of wars. Okay, World War III. All right, tariff wars. All kinds of continuous battles. All right, and arguments and debates, and I push this button, you push this button. All this been taking place, man. Of rumors of wars. But scripture says, see that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass. All right. So all these things, like I said before, have to, there's big parts of that movie has to take place. All right. To ultimately lead up to that climax of the movie being fulfilled. You see? And that's what you have. That's what different parts of prophecy, man. It's popping off simultaneously. We getting closer and closer to getting out of here the way these things are going, man. And we give all glory and praise to YAHAWASHI. But the end is not yet. And that's what we have to wait patiently. Okay, because even though we're seeing this happening right before our eyes, and it's exciting, we still have to wait till these things hit the peak of it, man. All right, we waiting on Esau to come down when he started talking about, making a mandatory of this MOTB. Okay, when you got these troops, all right, flooding the streets, and though we see these things itching towards it more and more, we still have to be patient and waiting towards it hit that max point. All right, because the end is not yet. But reading verse 7, it says, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. So here we go, tying it back up to the main, point of the lesson. These earthquakes has been, taking place and having the magnitude of, 7.5 and 8.0, 6.0. These magnitudes are going to continue to hit diverse places, man. All right, until all hell starts to break loose on a greater level, man. Okay, here in America. Okay, this is just all, as the scripture continues to say, verse 8, all these are the beginning of sorrows. And that's what it is, man. Okay, and there's not going to be no way around it. All right, while these people are in a great relaxed state where they can relax their minds and still go on vacation and still do these things, you're gonna have it where this is popping off. See, these people right now, they're too blinded by trying to flood their minds with temporary satisfaction. All right, with things that they're either drugging themselves up with or flooding their mind and polluting their mind with, all right, to escape the reality. These people are living in a full fantasy, or what you would call it today is American dream. But soon this is all going to come to, a huge interruption. Okay, and it's going to be from all hell breaking loose. Okay, and it's only a matter of time. All right, it's only a matter of time. You see. But I'm gonna grab one more piece. I'm gonna close it out with this. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, verse 39. See now that I, even I, am He, and there is no God with me, I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. Okay? So neither is there any that can deliver out of the Lord's hand, man. When these things start to take place, as I mentioned earlier, all right, there ain't gonna be no way getting up out of this, man. You know, there ain't gonna be no way to escape. Okay, once these things start to take place, all right, it's just gonna be left and right. You know, people being tucking up stairs, man. All right, and that's gonna go from left to right, right to left. It's just gonna be happening, you know, quickly before people even can react. Just like you had with this earthquake over there in Afghanistan, you know, out of nowhere, just bam, you know, a huge shaking happened, and then next thing you know, buildings started to collapse, commotion throughout the streets, etc., man. And before you know it, the death toll, you know, was reaching hundreds, man. If not yet at this time period, maybe thousands and injuries. You see, that's why the scripture says to seek the Lord where he may be found. And see, we've seen these things happen, you know, all around, you know, everywhere else. But how much more here when it hits here in America, man, where it's going to hit the worst. You see? But that was the point. All right, the point was, you know, going into it. You know, this recent earthquake, man, hit 6.0, all right, which left multiple injuries and left multiple dead, man. All right, and this is the time where you see things like this, a part of prophecy, all right, to cleave unto the Lord, YAHAWASHI, okay, seeking while he's near before all hell breaks loose here in America. All right, so with that, Lord, this lesson was edifying to you, seeking the Lord truth, sincerity. Until next time I say, Shalom.